G'day everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Spitting Bricks with Jono. And I'm pretty excited today actually because I've got my original brick buddy from Lego Masters New Zealand and the very first New Zealand contestant to appear on Spitting Bricks, Dan Mulholland. Dan, welcome.
Hey buddy, how you going?
I'm going good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good mate, good to catch up.
It has been, yeah, it's good. It's actually the anniversary. It's 3 years since Lego Masters. I think the last days of Lego Masters on the final. So yeah,
A couple of days yet. I think we'll be up there till like March 1st or something like that. So yeah, we would have been about starting the final.
Yeah, or in the thick of it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start at the beginning. How did you first get into Lego?
So my first experience of Lego was as a kid. I don't remember the exact age, but I'm thinking probably 5, 6, 7 years old. My family would often, this is in the early 80s, often travel to Australia and would buy small pieces of Lego and bring them back because it wasn't particularly easy to get in New Zealand and it was quite expensive back in those days. So yeah, family would always bring back a little piece of Lego, and then it became a thing over the next few years, probably another 5 or 6 years after that at least, and that's when my Lego collection started. Yeah.
Was there a particular set or a moment that sparked your passion, do you think?
Yeah, the set that I always remember early on was, can't remember the set number, but it was a fire station and it was a yellow building with red trucks, and it would have been about somewhere around 1978 or something like that, maybe 1977, or pretty early on in the old minifigure game. And I've still got that set to this day. I've had to replace a few pieces for it. I still have the vast majority of my childhood collection, especially all of the original Lego Town stuff. I did trade out a lot of the classic space stuff that I had a few years ago in favor of more classic town stuff. But yeah, I've still got it all.
Nice.
Still got that original collection.
So, what was your experience on Lego Masters like?
Wow, you pretty much know what my experience on Lego Masters was like. It was amazing. It was harrowing. It was insightful. It was exciting. It was scary. It was
all the things,
all of these things. It was the emotional roller coaster of everything.
It's roller coaster.
Right from the very beginning, in the beginning of audition, wondering whether you make it or not, wondering whether you did enough or not. Right through to even getting on the plane and going to Auckland thinking, someone's going to tell me this is a joke at some point. Right through to walking through the door for the first day and thinking, they're still going to switch us out at the last minute. So getting on and then actually realizing, oh man, this is actually happening. This is scary as hell. Am I capable of doing this? And yeah, it was an experience, all right.
It certainly was. So how has the show changed or enhanced your view of Lego?
That's a tough one because since coming back from Lego Masters, I really, really struggled with creative building, and I still kind of do to a point because I've sort of switched my focus with Lego to creating and sharing experiences for kids that I work with now. So yeah, I didn't really come back from the show and just create big masterpieces like a lot of other people have. I've just come back from the show and using the experience to be able to pass that on to kids or anybody that wants to learn more about it. So yeah, just changed from building and participating in shows to now organizing shows again and creating opportunities for other people to display at shows and grow their passion for Lego.
Fantastic. So what's your approach to starting a new Lego build? Well, I mean, obviously you haven't built anything for a while. Are you still building sets though?
I still build sets on occasion, not that many, because I just don't have the space to display them or store them built. I still buy a lot of stuff, and I have quite a number of shelves of unbuilt stuff nowadays. I still have this obsessive compulsion to buy it because I want to build it. But yeah, I spend a lot of time dismantling sets.
Okay.
So, all the kids that I work with, if they complete a set in the office and it goes up on the display shelves and they get to look at it, play with it, do whatever they want with it, and I'll take it apart whenever I feel like it. For my own creative process, I'm very much just a hands-on bricks person. When I first started building creatively, which was probably 10 years ago now, it was very difficult for me to build creatively if I didn't have the right pieces. So I would order heaps and heaps of stuff off Bricklink and use those pieces to build. Had a lot of wasted money, a lot of stuff just sitting doing nothing because it didn't turn out the way that I thought it would in my head. And then I got to a point where, I don't know, this is, the thing in your mind that's like, I have to use the right color pieces to build this as well. And I got through this point where I was like, I don't actually have to use the right color pieces. I can rainbow this thing and then look at the pieces I need, count them, order them, and rebuild it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, there's this whole thing of like, what's the point of having to do that? Then you have to rebuild it, and it's just pointless. So, yeah, I was very much a hands-on bricks. Just play, create, refine, polish, destroy, start again, whatever it took. And so sometimes that was a really, really good process, and it would just flow and things would happen. And other times it was really, really frustrating, and then the intrusive thoughts sort of would creep in, and you'd chuck it in the proverbial bin, the back of the table or whatever, walk away and leave it and start something else. So I've got a whole bunch of unfinished started projects for sure.
Oh, you too. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Everywhere. I'm just thinking about it right now in the house, like actually just out in our living area on the printer, there is a double 48 wide build that I've started of a hotel. Right. I don't know what it's doing out there, but it's been sitting there for quite a while now. Probably need to dismantle it or put it away or something.
So, can you describe a build that was particularly challenging for you on the show and how you overcame those challenges?
Oh, which one was challenging for us, Jono?
I know, mate.
They all came with their own challenge, right?
Yeah.
Which one was particularly challenging, though? I think the one that was probably the most challenging was maybe not the physical build itself being challenging, but trying to meet the brief and actually trying to create something that fitted in. And I think you probably know where we're going with this. And that was it episode 7? The game?
Yeah, it was
the game.
8. It was 7. You're right. Yeah.
No, it was 7. Yeah. So I think we both struggled with we had an idea and we knew what that idea was, and then quite early on we were told that that idea it's just too gamey. You've just replicated the game. It's like, well, everybody replicated a game. The girls literally replicated an actual game that existed in the 1980s. It's like, come on, man. So anyway, I found that one particularly challenging mentally. Physically, I think probably episode 5 when we were trying to do the dreadnought. I had this idea in my head of how I wanted it to be shaped and how I wanted to get the diamond sort of element of that really long ship. And there was a time, as you know, that it wasn't quite working, and
not really.
The thing that you were working on wasn't quite working, and both of us got to a point where we're just like, well, this isn't bloody working.
This isn't working.
And we both had a moment, and
it still looked pretty cool at the end, didn't it?
Well, that's the thing, right? And it's
how many studs long was it? I can't remember. It was huge.
It was like 180. It was huge.
It was like we were going for 100 because that was September, right?
Well, that's what we were trying to base it off. That's what we were trying to do, was to educate the viewing public that
about
what
ship timber.
September was about. And
Yeah,
I remember we did this big spiel to camera about it and this
they
big
cut
spiel to
it.
die, and none of it got put in as any form of education at all. It was just, and
Well,
that's why we did
that's why
that
we've got.
in
That's
the
why we have
basic
spitting
race
bricks.
colours, because it was meant to be an education piece for everybody. So yeah, it is what it is. But
It is what it is.
it was an awesome ship.
It was an awesome ship. I like that it was micro scale. I like that we built on every scale.
Yeah.
You know, because we had the little Galaxy Explorers kind of landing on the top of the Dreadnought.
Yeah, there was so much in that build that just really didn't get appreciated, I think. And
it still looked. I was looking at the footage the other day. It still looks really good in the close-ups, eh? The
it
close-ups
looks
look mean.
amazing. It
looked
really looks
mean.
amazing, and
Yeah,
I feel like that the way we were judged on that build was particularly hard. So it is what it is. Can't change history.
It is what it is. Hey, mate, we made it to the final. I mean, you can't. I'm quite grateful. Like that's still the bronze place. That's still pretty cool. So what was your most memorable moment on the show?
Oh, there's so many.
I know, right? I can't. Yeah, I struggle. What was yours?
There's two, three. There is a lot actually. There's some really really memorable moments, and to me, I don't think any one of them could take top space because I think they're all important for their own reasons. So the first one, obviously, building the train, because what the train meant to you, which meant that I could get invested in that as well. And we had this very clear thing from the very beginning of that. And so watching that train, or actually no, just seeing that final product of that train up on the stand, and just the moment we sort of looked at each other and we were like, yeah, we did that. Yeah. But because of the meaning behind it as well. Yeah. Second moment, obviously, when Smudge arrived, because without that, I don't know how much further I would have been able to get mentally. Yeah. I did want to go home. I really wanted to stay, but I didn't know that separation anxiety was going to be a thing for me.
And I tell you what, that has apparently at the time, that was the most watched moment on TV since the "Don't Blow on the Pie" moment in New Zealand television.
Yeah. And to be fair,
Smudge is the most famous thing on Lego Masters.
Yeah, no one asks about me or you.
How's Smudge? It was cool. It was a great part of it. It was a great thing to be a part of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And
looking
the
back,
third most memorable moment had to be episode 6, I think it was.
Yeah.
When we completed the Man on the Chair.
Yeah.
That, again, we had that idea, or I had that idea, and you brought it into it, and we had that from the get-go, and we had the whole time to build. And when we finished that, it looked exactly like
it was what
I had pictured in the beginning, and it drew out so much emotion. And I remember, it's one of those things that the scene on the actual show where I think was it you that said, it's obviously drawing out the emotion, because I had tears coming down my face, and I said, it's not supposed to work on me, it's supposed to work on him. And it was just like that whole that one build, I feel like, kind of defined our experience our contribution to Lego Masters. And for that, I am eternally proud and grateful that we got to share that moment together. And so if I had to pick one, then we're probably leaning towards this one.
Well, I look back on it and I still think that's the single most amazing thing I've ever done. I mean, besides my kids, that's my most amazing creation.
Oh, yeah, on the show, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But no, I was stumped that day, and I was always really proud of myself, because I always had all these ideas, and that one I was just like, I ain't got nothing. It's just like, it's just empty. Like one color elicited an emotion. I was just like, oh man, screwed. And you just picked up the pen and you just drew that. And I was just like, you said, could you build this? And I remember saying, what, you build the chair and I'll build the man. And you said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And we just did. And I think the plinth came the evening of the first night because we wanted to get a message on there, eh? We wanted to get something on there, and that was an inspired idea. That was your idea, I think, the plinth. Just and that because that sets it apart, right?
Yeah, it was
It's
the
amazing
the
what happens when
message.
you put something on a plinth. Amazing, it looks much more important.
Yeah. And we made that conscious decision to put the writing in white so that
Yeah,
you couldn't really notice it from a distance. And it was the
yeah.
message that
So the message wasn't there
popped
until
out
you got up
got up a
close.
bit closer.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I think the most memorable moment for me regarding that thing came a year afterwards. Like I remember hearing a quote. I think it's Maya Angelou, and it's never underestimate the power of a small group of people in a room to change the world, because ultimately that's the only thing that ever has.
Mm.
And we did, because a year after that show aired in New Zealand, that aired in the UK, and I got a message from a guy at Brighton Bricks saying that what we did on telly was what he'd been trying to do for the last 4 years with his ambitions and Lego and stuff like that, and and I was just like, wow. Even now, it's giving me goosebumps. It was just, I woke up one morning and went, hang on a minute, what? Like this? Yeah, it was just crazy. There were 10 of us in that room building and on those cameras, or I think that day, and that was a small group of people, and yeah, we changed the world in our own little way, and that was mind blowing. Anyway, back to the questions. Can you tell us about any behind the scenes moments or interactions with other contestants or the judges that the audience might not know about? G rated, please. Kids are watching.
G-rated, so we can't tell Georgie's story.
I think I might let Georgie see if she can tell her story.
She can tell that story. That one was pretty
There's a
funny.
teaser.
What was there, Jono? Remind me.
I don't know. I remember actually the day that Georgie and Andrew got eliminated. I remember walking off the set after that decision was made and seeing the look on Robin's face and just feeling that feeling amongst all of us people about how devastated we were that those two people weren't going to be playing with us anymore. And I just turned to Robin and said, do you want a hug? And he said, yep. And I just gave him this big hug. And I was just like, and from that moment, I was like, I'm never kind of judging Ryan on Lego Masters Australia for having a cry anytime someone leaves the bloody set. Because that was quite, it was the same with Amy and Adam. There was just that you get to be this group of amazing creative friends on your own journeys, but kind of encouraging and supporting each other because it's not really competitive. And then when someone leaves, it's just like, it's like their flames extinguished and they have to walk off Survivor Island. It's just like, oh man, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
I think there's one thing a lot of people probably don't understand and maybe think that the tears are a bit manufactured, or because they only see the 1 hour, and it could be episode 1 or 2 when somebody's getting eliminated, but for us that might have been 10 or 11 days of hard grind together, 12, 13, 14 hours, and people don't realize just when you're put in such a pressure cooker situation how close you become in a short space of time, because it's it is an unreal situation to be in that case.
Surreal, eh? Since I got
those
set on
emotions were definitely
surreal.
Real. There's nothing fake about them whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I think. Okay, so the one thing that I want to mention, all right. Yep. So if anyone, this is a nugget of information.
Ooh, exciting!
When we first watched the first episode on TV, and they did the tour of the brick pit, and then in the brick pit there was a logo up on the wall, and on the end cap of the island with all of the bricks in it. That logo was not on the wall or the end cap. Somebody added that in post-production. It was somebody's job to move that frame by frame by frame as the camera panned around the brick pit. That blows my mind. Why they didn't just stick it on the bloody wall.
That yeah. That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
I remember in our group checks chat, people asking like, "Was that
Was that
logo there?
there?
Did we not
Yeah.
see that?"
And was I
Yes, we saying
daydreaming?
to each other that
Yeah.
that wasn't there. It
No.
was not on the wall. No, not a figment. So yeah, there's a little behind the scenes nugget. The other behind the scenes nugget, if you're ever watching the show again, look on top as you're looking on the Brick Pit camera. Look on the far left-hand corner on top of the cabinet. You'll see a little miniature build of the actual studio that this guy did.
Yes. Yes, that would be me.
Yeah, you can
It
barely
just
see it.
grew. It grew slowly over
It did.
episodes, I think.
Yeah, if you watch
Yeah.
over consecutive episodes, the studio build got bigger and bigger and bigger.
And then
Yeah,
other people from a crew started putting. I
yeah,
remember one of the soundies was really tall, the boom operator, and he managed to get a horse and stick it right up in the
yeah,
top. And we're walking in there, it's like, how did that get up there?
yeah.
That was fun.
It's pretty cool because you can because we know this stuff, so we actually started looking for it. But
Yeah,
yeah, if you look around and all of the shell, or like up higher up in the brick pits, you see all these things that start
yeah,
appearing over different episodes.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
funny
That
as
was fun.
yeah.
Okay, so how has Lego impacted your life beyond the show?
Um, I guess it's interesting. So my current sort of relationship with Lego at the moment, as you know, I have a small business doing essentially Lego-based therapy, mentoring, and life skills education, which I work with small groups of kids, and I use Lego as a tool. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that I actually started working on setting that up prior to Lego Masters, and I was ready to go around about October of the year that we were doing the auditioning in 2021. And when we got chosen to go, when we thought we might have a good chance, I decided that I wouldn't actually start or launch that until we knew what was happening and that.
Mm.
And then we got chosen, we came back. So I sort of launched that just after we got back in end of March of 2022. And I guess since then, having been on the show, it's kind of added an element of what's the word I'm looking at? Validation, maybe, for what I'm doing with my relationship with Lego. People look at it and
Mm.
go, "Oh yeah, you were a Lego master. You know
Mm.
what you're talking about." And
Yeah.
there's an unreasonable element of trust as well. Parents will just come and drop their kids off, and more than happy to leave them behind. And you know, someone who they've never really met, but they feel like they know you because they saw you on TV and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's been an amazing sort of switch up in the Lego, with my relationship with Lego. I spent 10 years. No, it wasn't 10 years. It would have been 7 years prior to Lego Masters. Um, you know, with involved in Wellington Lego User Group from starting it way back in 2014 to running it for 4 years or so, and then stepping away from the president role, but still continuing with the lug and doing shows overseas and doing
Mm.
shows all around the country and stuff. So I felt like I did my Lego show binge, I suppose, for a good 7 years. And I
How many
did
shows have you been to? I hear there's
currently somewhere in the vicinity of 55, something like that, over 10 years.
55
Yeah.
shows over 10 years.
And
That's
so
epic.
that's changed as well. So
And that's
post Lego
considering
Masters,
that's in New Zealand and locally, there aren't that
New
many
Zealand and
shows compared
Australia.
to some of the bigger, to some of the bigger countries.
I haven't been further than Australia for a Lego show yet. I would love to.
Mm.
But yeah, I've done pretty much every lugs show in New Zealand, probably more than once.
Well done.
I've been to Australia to do Brickvention 3 times.
Yep.
And yeah, and yeah, so heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of shows. So I've gotten to a point where with shows, I enjoy them and I enjoy the social aspect of them, but I struggle to build for shows anymore. I don't know, other people, they just churn out builds and
Mm.
they're creative as heck. And I guess I'm not. in a sense, I don't have that creativity at the moment, and so my focus on shows at the moment is um, taking. So the last show in Wellington, for example, I had two of the kids that I work with on a Monday afternoon build a huge Minecraft mod. And so I provided, at the office, I provided all the pieces and everything, let them just go ham. And it was really interesting because, these two boys, 12-ish years old, they start building and they were building quite small. I'm like, no, just dream big, do as big as you want to do.
Yeah.
So they ended up building this giant creeper, and then they built this giant ocelot, and they built everything else in minifig scale. And so they decided that they were going to have this robot creeper versus this ocelot powered ocelot. and that was the central story. And then they built this huge thing, and I helped out by building a mountain, and then they built all the story around it.
Cool.
And we took that to the show, and they got such amazing feedback. They loved it. It was their first show experience. And that's what I want to do going forward is help these kids with their passion for Lego by providing opportunities that they may not otherwise get.
So, have you noticed any positive effects on your mental health with engaging with Lego?
Oh yeah, positive and negative for sure. I certainly, look, in my early stages of 2018, I had a complete mental breakdown. My work history prior to that I joined the military when I was 17, deployed overseas. I was an ambulance paramedic for 10 years, and then I worked for various other organizations after that. And then in 2018, I had a complete mental breakdown. Didn't really know what it was caused by, or anything like that. A friend of mine, another army mate, said to me, that sounds very much like PTSD. You should go and talk to Veterans Affairs, blah, blah. Did all that. Got diagnosed with PTSD, basically ceased working overnight. Just didn't have the mental capacity for anything. And I was self-employed at that point, so my income stopped. What did I do? I turned to Lego. So Lego at that point was my therapy, because it was something that I was able to do while I was awake. Because to be fair, a lot of the time I'd just sleep because it was easier to be asleep than it was to be awake. But I'd use Lego as a just sort of like relaxation, something to take my mind off everything else, because I was following instructions. I couldn't do creative. So prior to that, I was very creative, did a lot of creative. After that, no creative, back to sets. But you follow those instructions. It took your mind off everything else for the time that you were engrossed in the Lego set, and at the end of it, you had the reward of something that you built and finished. And then through that, I wanted to maintain links with friends that I'd created through the Lego community over the previous sort of 6 or 7 years of that. And so I started just building while live streaming on Facebook. So going to get the dogs all nut off now. Here they all go. Great.
That's all right. Perfect timing.
I know, right? So I started live streaming on.
How many dogs have you got, Dan?
4, but we have 5 here at the moment because Alex is sorting them out. Good lad.
Nice.
You've got a daughter's dog here at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Hang on a second. You can edit it out if you like, or leave it in, either or.
I'll sort it out.
Dogs. Never work with animals or children, they say, Jono.
This is what they say.
What were we talking
about? Mental health.
Oh, yeah, mental health. To maintain that connection with friends, I started live streaming on Facebook. A guy then said, have you ever heard of Twitch? So I started live streaming on Twitch. Live streamed on there for a wee while, and then that led into the Lego Ambassador Network by becoming a recognized Lego fan media. So
nice.
That for the next 2 years was my mental health sort of go-to, was to build a Lego, communicate through the live streaming audience, create content and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I have very, very much used Lego as a tool for mental health. Um, the downside to that was, though, when I was a recognised Lego fan media, the pressure that applied to create the content and continuously keep up with the demand of the sets that were sent, um, that I found stressful at times as well. And I have to say, I just don't think I had a good I didn't have good management of that, and that's more of a reflection on me than it was on the Ambassador Network for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So what advice do you give to the young people that are attending the shows and future Lego Masters, perhaps?
Um, it's the same thing. The advice I give to anybody really is just to just keep at it. You know, um, for shows particularly, and for people that want to join the Lego clubs, or for people that want to build or do anything, it's like do what makes you happy. Do what you want to do at your pace, and don't be intimidated by people who build massive models or that bring huge amounts of Lego to shows and stuff. Don't ever think that you're not worthy, because everybody starts somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
participation is the key when it comes to being involved in the community. So do what you want to do it at your size, and take what you want to take. If you ever want to do Lego Masters, apply. If the opportunity ever comes up to have a go, have a go. What's the worst that can happen? You
Well,
don't make it, so what? Maybe you do make it. Maybe you win. Just do it.
so you have used Lego in educational capacities and workshops, etc. What's been the response from the participants?
The response is usually really, really positive. So the way that I operate and what I do is I let the kids decide what they want to do themselves. So I have in my office, I have a large quantity now of loose Lego pieces for them to
Mm-hmm.
build creatively if they want to build creatively. And I have a large quantity of Lego sets that are broken down into boxes of theme.
Yeah.
And so they choose what they want to do. So first up, you've got choices to make. And for young kids, particularly autistic and ADHD, a lot of choices are made for them because they're told what to do all of the time, right?
Yeah.
So they make these choices. If they choose to build a set, they choose the theme, and then in that box, I've got picture cards basically of all the box art, and they choose what they want from the box art pictures, and then they start building.
Cool.
If they have mistakes, which is inevitable, there's always going to be mistakes or frustrations and whatnot, I'll sort of let the kids just work through that on their own. And then when it gets to a point where I can see that they're not moving forward, I'll give some encouragement or a hint or a clue or something. And only if it gets really, really desperate will I actually step in and try to fix it for them. That's my last resort. What all of this has led to over time, parents coming back and saying that their kids are more confident in doing what they do outside of the Lego class. They are able to problem solve a bit better. They're not quite so easy to go to anger. So a lot of the time, and you see it quite early on with kids, is they make a mistake, they can't figure out what they've done, they don't know what they're doing, so there's a shut down, the shoulders come down, the head comes down, and it's plain as day what's going on. And so we're not seeing as much of this anymore, and they're going back and trying to solve their own problems and things like that. So I wouldn't say that it's making all the changes in the world, but I do feel like it's definitely making some changes. And aside from that, the other thing we do is we have open and honest and frank conversations. So, as long as the conversation is appropriate, we'll talk to the kids and let them talk about whatever they want to talk about in an open and honest way, as if they were my kids. And so some of that is enlightening. Some of it is bloody hilarious, to be fair. But yeah, I'd say that the impact is definitely positive for sure.
Fantastic. That's great news, mate. I'm so proud of you with what you've been doing over the last couple of years. It's a real testament to your character and
Thanks,
your
man.
beliefs.
Well, I've stolen
So
your idea for my next step, with the brick bus. So,
look, hey, the idea was
you
out
know,
there. If you say something loud enough, often enough, someone's going to pick it up. I'm just glad that someone's doing it and someone saw some value in it because it's I don't know. I've been wanting to do it for a long time now.
look, I think the brick bus concept of being able to take what I do and put that into a mobile platform and then be
Yeah,
able to take that to a school and
yeah,
park up there and do the same thing, and rotate kids through for the day or half a day or however long the school want to host you for, I think is, there's so much more reach that can
yeah,
have
yeah.
than, after school sessions and stuff. I've got
Exactly.
the daytime availability. So, yeah.
So, what are your future projects or aspirations then?
Wow, we just talked about that.
Just funny, yeah.
Um, so yeah, realistically, so aside from the small business that I started, it didn't take me that long to realize that for every sort of family that can afford to put their kids into the Lego classes, there was 10 families that couldn't, and so I ended up investigating and forming a charity. So it took about a year and a half to actually get charity status because it was a difficult process. And so end of last year, started the Brick Bus campaign. This year, I've organised a Lego show for 15th and 16th of March as a fundraiser for the Brick Bus, towards the Brick
Cool.
Bus. And so I guess for future aspirations is to really raise the funds for that Brick Bus, apply for funds, get that money from wherever I can get it from, and get that Brick Bus on the road and get it operational and serving the community and serving the schools,
Mm,
getting Lego into the hands of kids and doing what I want to do, which is help them with their social skills, their life skills, their, mental health conversations, anything and everything that helps to support these kids to build better futures.
mm,
And it's just playing my part in the bigger picture. They've always said, that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, the fact of the matter is in modern times, the village concept doesn't seem to want to be applied because everybody wants to do their own thing, but it still takes a village to raise a child, and there's a
mm,
lot of people out there that could do with some support. I just want to be one cog in that greater machine.
mm. Here's a big question for you. Would you ever consider returning to Lego Masters?
Um, if you'd asked me that on day 11 or 12 or whatever, I would have told you to apply. No. Would I want to go back now? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I have learnt so much more about myself since Lego Masters. Um, it really did put me through a ringer, and it really did make me look at different aspects of my inner self, really. And out of that, as you know, and probably a lot of other people don't know, I got assessed for ADHD last year, and yeah, Jono's just shaking his head because basically he said
I'm
that
just trying not to say I told you so.
all through the show, like, you're so ADHD, and I resisted it because I
Takes
didn't
one to know
feel like
one.
having a label would mean anything to me. It didn't mean anything, and then I started talking to people about potential benefits of medication. So I got an assessment, got diagnosed with severe inattentive ADHD. No surprises. Started medication this year and have
How's that
seen
going?
amazing results.
Yes. I'm so
So
pleased. I'm so pleased.
honestly, after probably took about 5 or 6 days to sort of dial in the dose, and it did have to keep going up and
Yeah.
up and up. I'm a big guy, I obviously need lots of medication. But one day when I took the dose that I currently take, it was just like flicking a light switch. And
Like putting on glasses for the first time, huh?
I put on glasses every day, but it
Yeah,
was
I know,
like
right?
actually being able to see what was through them. So,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
so much more. And learning about the separation anxiety, learning about dealing with stress and all of that other stuff. I think if I went back to do it again, I think it would be different.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be easy. I definitely
Oh
wouldn't
God,
be
no.
easier or anything like that, but I think I would manage
But we
things a lot.
wouldn't do it if it was easy. We'd get bored.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, look, if anybody's watching, Ryan, Grandmasters again. I don't necessarily have to bring Smudge to Australia if we're going to film Grandmasters over there. If you want to bring Smudge over, that'd be great. She's 11 now, so we want to get onto it soon.
Yeah.
But if not, I can conference call with Smudge
We could
in the evenings while we're at home. That'll be great.
get a digital Smudge, get a digi double.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
I'll bring more photos or whatever, or
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Having that knowledge now
Mm.
of the separation anxiety and knowing that that's a thing it gives me the opportunity to prepare for that. So
knowledge is power.
Long and short of it, I would definitely do it again.
Sweet. Oh well, here's the contract. No.
Well, I'd love to. I want a
right?
trophy. I'd love to get my hands on a trophy. That'd be so good. That would be the pinnacle of my Lego career. So far, the pinnacle of my Lego career is getting third. But
that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh look, third's great.
I think the pinnacle of my Lego career was the man on the chair. Honestly.
Yeah. Look, honestly, man, I'm proud of what we built throughout that show.
I know.
All of our builds meant something to us.
Totally.
And I think that was what was important. Was that I'm not saying this, I'm just going to say from our perspective, we stayed true to ourselves and built what we want to build.
Yeah. And we wanted to play homage to the AFOLs in the community.
Oh, we did.
Because and that's what I like that we did, is that we built every single scale. We built every scale, and we built some really cool stuff, and we had some fun. I really would have liked seeing Dolly explode into a million bits and see the kiwi fruit slice out. That would have been amazing if Trent had been on form that day. Trent the bowler.
Been some good stuff there.
I'm thoroughly. I go back to your first comment with about the train. I got a piece of feedback from an audience member about that, and how we'd not only, like, it was basically when form, function, and aesthetics all come together with story. And I always love when a good build comes together with form, function, and aesthetics, because that's just the pinnacle, right? But it looked good, it suited the purpose, it paid homage to my father and grandfather, and it worked. It did its job. It was robust. I'm really Anyway, So I remember, like, you mentioned earlier about the Lego set, but I think we had a Lego set in common. Do you remember that little black car with the dude with the cowboy hat?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever have that one?
Yeah, the grey cowboy hat.
The grey cowboy hat. Yep.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
Yep, I got that car stuff. That was one of my favorite sets as a kid. Did you have a Dark Ages?
Yeah, I did, of course. So I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I would have been probably 13, 14, maybe, right through to 10 years ago. So would have been well into my 30s.
Robin never had a Dark Ages. Found that out the other day.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely had a Dark Age. So I wouldn't say that I wasn't bored out of my Dark Age when I started having my own kids, but I remember when my oldest boy was born, I got all my old Lego and built it all and stuck it on the shelves in his room. And then I bought Lego for the kids, and they built it up. And then it was at some stage around 2013, 14-ish, I don't know, probably 13, I bought a Lord of the Rings set for myself, and I took it home and built it because it was really cheap. And that was the beginning of the end for me. So
am I right in thinking you've got nearly all the Lord of the Rings sets?
I got all of them, yeah.
You've got all the Lord of the Rings.
There's only one Lord of the Rings thing that I don't have, and that is it was a Comic-Con minifigure in a little burlap bag with a map that was given to people when they arrived at Comic-Con to go and find the Hobbit Lord of the Rings Lego stand, I think it was, something like that. I know it might have actually not even been Lego. It might have actually just been the Weta Workshop stand.
Wow.
So that's the only physical thing that I don't have. I have all the other Comic-Con sets.
Well done.
Figures, every set that was ever available, make and take, posters, banners,
And they're still producing more.
Well, they're still producing. Well, there's rumor that this year we're going to get a like a UCS style bag end.
Are there any upcoming sets that you've heard this year that you're looking forward to?
The Lord of the Rings bag end.
Yeah.
There is also a rumored set about a Lord of the Rings book nook.
Okay, that'd be cool. I'd get the book nook.
Something like that. So
yeah,
look, I'd love for them to do any more Lord of the Rings stuff. We still haven't seen a Minas Tirith. We still haven't seen any like Edoras or anything like that. There's no real army sets. So if they brought out like army builder packs,
yeah,
that'd just be a license to print money.
Totally,
Lego, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Look us up. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Starship Enterprise.
I've never been a Trekkie, so
No,
easy pass for me.
I don't know. I can relate to Jean-Luc Picard with his hair.
Yeah. No, the thing is with Lego now is that they've kind of made it difficult to keep up.
It is very difficult to keep up.
Yeah,
very difficult.
It's a strange phenomenon because when I first got into Lego, as an adult, the vast majority of sets were for children, and there was a few a year that could have been arguably more adult targeted, but not really. So you had your annual modular, your annual large car, and your annual fairground set. And this is aside from taking Technic out of it, completely different genre. And so you could keep up with those because it was only really one a year of each of those sets. And now, holy crap, now you just you've got your annual
very
modular has almost become two a year because there's one at the beginning, one at the end, and your annual car can be two a year. Icons.
Some of the icon sets are to die for. They're really cool.
Star Wars and the UCS models.
I stopped collecting Star Wars. I had to stop. It just got too much.
Yeah, like I don't really collect much of. Well, I still try to get the modulars and the cars, and they're the only things that I've really tried to be completionist about. The rest of it, and Lord of the Rings, of course, and the rest of it I've kind of had to give up on because you just can't keep up with it anymore. And it's a strange feeling to have all of this stuff and then one day go, I just can't keep up anymore. It's too expensive. And I feel like that there's two things here that Lego have priced people out of the market, but they've released people out of the market by releasing too much. You know? And so people are like, oh, just pick and choose what you buy. Well, yeah, that's great. But as a collector, as an avid collector, you like to have complete series of things. And it's just getting more and more and more difficult. So, if I could give a message to Lego, it would be to slow down on the releases or keep the sets around longer to allow people time to save and buy them. Because they're kind of driving their own loyalty, their own loyal fan base away somewhat. Particularly over the last 5 years since they started bringing out icons. They really have crushed the loyalty of a lot of people. And now with other brick building companies out there that are bringing out stuff which is seemingly similar qualities, people are now making choices.
I haven't seen any of it yet.
Their bottom line.
I heard.
Yeah, I have not yet succumbed to any off-brand, other brand brick building construction toys yet. I've always remained loyal to the Lego brand. Maybe I just haven't bought as much lately. Particularly over the last 2 years, I haven't bought as much.
Well, I'm gonna. That's been 50 minutes. So thank you very much for your time, Dan. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. I will end this with one more thing. The last thing I ever said on TV, I think, on Lego Masters was everything is awesome when you're part of a team and you grab life by the bricks.
Indeed.
Awesome. Thank you very much, mate. I'll catch you again.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.